Good morning. Welcome to Tea Time with Amy and Bev. Hello, hello.
Good
Happy
day.
Sunday.
Happy Sunday. How's it going?
Oh, so much happening. So the major thing is have had a pretty big life change recently, and I started a full-time job. And interesting enough, I mean, first of all, I just want to say that I love this. I love helping people. I love coaching and teaching classes. Sometimes for people who are doing, well, people are doing things and they're starting to get overwhelmed and overloaded with stuff, and the emotions involved of overwhelm and frustration and irritation, all that, right? We know that that causes resistance, and that can slow processes down. It can give us setbacks. And I was there. And in business, especially, well, in business I listened to a lot of entrepreneurs and business leaders and mentors. And you gotta, especially when you start your own business, when you're self-employed, that you set your why. And your why has to be huge and strong so that you can focus on it and keep that momentum going. My why is big and strong, but my focus wasn't there. My focus was on all the stuff I was trying to stay on top of on a regular. So business is not doing well. So I still got to have an income. I still have bills to pay. So I went and got a job full-time and plus some hours. So it's going to be a little more than full-time. But the interesting thing is that this position, I'm utilizing some of the skills that I already have from a business perspective, helping this company get organized, working for a nonprofit, flexible in the schedule because there is we work more hours than the 40, right? So it's kind of a on an honor basis that, you work extra hours here and you need to take some time off, whatever, just let us know you're not going to be here. I mean, so flexible, super. And that's what I'm accustomed to because I've been working from home for so long. And then, I'm still in that headspace of, I know this is for me. I know good things are going to, I'm immediately, well, I have to say, not immediately. I did go, and I want to say this to everybody who has any kind of change in their life, especially if it's big, you will grieve. I had my meltdown. I cried, ugly cry, snot, tears flowing, and I let it out. I just let it all out because we have to let those emotions move. So anytime, I just an acquaintance, her boyfriend just went to jail, and he's gonna be gone for a while. And I'm like, you got to grieve. You have to grieve. You got to let that energy flow, whether you cry or punch a pillow or whatever it is. You're going to move through a grieving process. So anytime we have big changes, especially little changes too, we may not really recognize it as grieving, but those big things that really jolt us, we got to move that energy. Don't stuff it and don't try to put that happy face on and suck it up. You let it move. So anyway, so I got into the mindset of everything's temporary. This is happening for me. It's happening for a reason. I'm going to learn something new, something different, something that's going to help propel me. I know there's a lot of good stuff that's going to come out of this. And I've only been there for like 2.5 days. I've been thinking about having like a retreat for women, for a healing retreat, 3-4 days. I've already had a conversation with somebody who's an event planner. I've had a conversation with a lady who loves to cook and is thinking about going to culinary school. And I talked to her about possibly being the chef for the retreat. Like, I'm having these conversations that I wouldn't have had sitting in my house, right?
So
I'm
hilarious.
getting out into the public. I'm having these different conversations with these different people. And this morning I was like, okay, universe, now I need a facility, right? I need somebody's home, a retreat center, somewhere to have this event, right? So I did have to have a mindset shift as far as, I believe everything's temporary. No matter what we're doing, everything is temporary. And I said to myself, after like a day into working, I said, I don't have to do this. I'm going to do this till I don't have to do it anymore. I'm just going to do this until I don't have to do it anymore. And I don't know where this is going to lead, because there's so many, I am meeting and will meet so many different people. And that was one of the things I had talked to you about too, was
Yes.
I need to get out into the public. I need to be out there meeting and socializing with people. I need people to know who I am. People hear my name all over this town. I will go places like, oh, are you Amy Wade? I'm like, yes. Like, now they're putting a face to a name. And so I just see this really, it's just cool. And I'm utilizing like my organization skills, business skills, communication skills, website designing skills. Like, there's so much diversity in what I'm doing. And that's what I like. I don't like repetitive stuff. If I'm doing the same thing, I get myself, I will tweak something to cause a problem so I can fix it. We know this about me. I've shared that before. So when I have multiple topic subjects going on, I'm just like, oh, this is fun. So that's what's going on with me, Beth.
I think it's so awesome. And you totally feel different, right? You feel there's an open flow with you, instead of when we show up trying to show up as our best, and you were showing up as your best, even though there's inner stuff going on, the inner stuff can be palpable, can be felt.
Yeah.
But today's conversation is a nice flow. It's open. You're exposing yourself and it's not even exposing yourself. You're showing everybody, this is where I'm at right now. This is the experience that I've had right now. And I find this so fascinating, because the universe has been pulling you in so many different directions for the last couple of years. Like getting it involved in a lot of the technological stuff on the computer, the setting out the advertisements, doing like all these things that you've been doing has all led to this. Now, this isn't the end all be all, because there's another piece that's going to come from this. And it's like, you don't even know. And the fascinating thing is, because we were just talking about this on Tuesday of last week. You had just put out a feeler to a couple of people or a person, and she's like, come see me. And next thing you know, you got a job. This is the proof of how things are supposed to move in our lives. And I say supposed to, like it has to do it, but it's a natural flow of things when things are going in the right direction. When we're making a move to go, like there was resistance because you needed a break from your job at home. You know what I mean? You needed a break from that. And when you let go of that resistance, you cried and you let go of all of that. And it was all the way back to your childhood stuff, right? It's whether we recognize it or not, it's all those emotions back to then. I say that because, like you said, grieving, it doesn't matter if you're grieving the loss of a loved one or a job or a relationship, a place, whatever. If you're grieving that stuff, we're not in full flow of things. And if we try to smile and act like everything's great, we're actually we're still at that point restricting our flow, because we're not offering up ourselves completely to everybody else. We're not allowing ourselves to receive what's coming into us. I don't even know where the hell that came from, because I wasn't even a part of the conversation, but it wasn't too bad. But I'm just thinking about this stuff, because it's like there's so much stuff that you've been doing, and there's so much stuff, and it's like now I can see how it all kind of it was guiding you the whole time. And this is another thing of, if there's things that you typically don't gravitate towards, or you like something, but you're like, I don't know about that, but it keeps showing up in your experience. It's trying to lead you in that direction. And that's a choice. It's a choice to put your nose to the grindstone. Like we've learned, both of you and I have learned that you put your nose to the grindstone, you just keep going and you'll make it to the end, whatever that looks like. You just keep going. And it's not even where we've learned that it doesn't have to be that way, but our old patterns are still there, because I still do this stuff too, especially when I don't know. Like last Sunday was my first day that I've had to myself, by myself, in a very long time. Just a whole day by myself, because my significant other was working all day long and he's just covering for somebody. So it's like I had an opportunity to be by myself all day long. Well, I wanted to feel worthy and that I had done something. So I got on my hands and knees and mopped the floors. I cleaned up parts of the kitchen that needed to be taken care of. I did all my laundry. Like I had all my sheets and towels and everything was clean for the next week for work. I took care of everything, but I didn't take care of me.
Yeah.
I didn't give me time. And then I had written down, what were you asking for? And then you answered it, because you had an asking for things. And sometimes we have this asking for things and we don't know how it's going to show up. And then we want to resist it sometimes because it's not how we thought it should show up. Right. Like I want to have all this money coming in, but maybe my expectation might be from the lottery and I'm resisting another area for it coming in, just to use that as an example. And it won't come in that way. But if it comes in through someone else, right? Well, hey, I'm going to go ahead and write you this check. And then it's like, oh, then that brings up a whole nother can of worms, because when you do that, it's like, now I feel like I'm obligated to this person. So it's like, it's just, what are these? These are what we call triggers. They're for us to look at. It's for us to become neutral to it and jump on the ride, like see what it looks like. I love your attitude about this whole thing. And I know at first it kind of, we talked about it and it was a little bit of heaviness, but it was a heaviness for me too, because it's a process for me too, because I'm in the process of transitioning from my employment to other things. And then now I'm starting to think, am I transitioning from that? Or am I, like we talked about earlier, am I learning how to set boundaries? Am I learning how to just be more honoring of myself, but still honoring others, showing up for the greater good of all, but not being around what's been termed to me as assholes, where you have people that constantly ask you questions and there's never a follow through. And it's not that they're bad people or anything like that, because I'm sure I've been in the same space at some point. I couldn't pinpoint. I'm sure maybe my life review will show me, but yes, I've done it. Yeah, right. And it's not like it's a bad thing, but it's like it's not a feel good thing.
I want to say that about the boundaries, because I mean, when you're in business and people know what you do, they want free advice. That's then it becomes equivalent to the assholes, right? They get the free advice, but they don't do anything with it. But they want to take up your time. But what we don't realize is they're human too. They want their downtime too. They are focused on other things too. And if all these people are coming at them every day, when you go out in public and they come up to you and they're talking to you and they want to share their stories with you, and then they want that free, like I have the same amount of time in this day as you, as long as I'm staying in the physical body, and I got other things to do, right? So I had to learn pretty quickly that I can spend a moment to empathize with somebody, and I can say, I'll send you my scheduling link so you can schedule an appointment. And that's like, because that was a boundary to set that I had to set, because I have other commitments. I have other things to do. I have a lot to do. So I need that time and space and energy to do it as well. So yeah, when setting boundaries just for anybody is important, because that is taking care of yourself. That is self-care, that is nurturing yourself. Just, where I'm at, just watching people, because, when you're in an office space, especially, and you're focused on something and you have people coming in and out of your office like 20, 30 times a day. I don't know, I'm not just exaggerating. You really don't get anything done. And they say it takes an average of about 20 minutes to refocus of where you are at in the project when you're interrupted. So now not only are you interrupted with the conversation, now you're having that conversation and then having to refocus. And about time you get refocused, somebody else is walking in or the phone rings and so it's like creating the boundaries of, unless somebody's dying, take a message, write down your notes and then come and we can talk about all of it at once. Right? So it's like, or give me an hour. Okay. Can I have an hour of uninterrupted time? And then we can meet and have a conversation. So just recognizing how important boundaries are, especially for anyone who is, I know for people self-employed, especially, sometimes that can be difficult as you're starting out, because as a coach, you just want to help everybody. And at the same time, if I try to help everybody, I'm going to help nobody. So being mindful, the boundaries are important for your sanity. I use the word sanity because I mean, really.
Because it is for yourself. Until you can evolve where you're neutral and you're not triggered by these things, the boundaries are beneficial. They're healthy. We need them in order for us to kind of see things, in order for us to build up a neutrality to it, I feel like, because then we build up another understanding because we step back from it and try to come at things from a space of love instead of from a space of defense, anger, frustration, sadness, grief. Something else you said too, I mean, it wasn't part of the conversation, but we were talking about like that refocus, it takes a certain amount of time. And the first thing that came in my mind is, well, okay, well, how can we speed up that? Because that's the 3D, right? We're talking 3D when we're talking that conversation, but from a 5D conversation, how could we speed up that refocus? You've learned how to do all this stuff. So this is a natural thing for you. So now it's so fascinating. I almost feel like maybe at some point you're gonna be business coaching people and stuff like that beyond this, because because you've gravitated towards a lot of this stuff anyways. It's been and it seems to be like a natural flow for you, honestly. But for you to be in the environment, and then especially in the environment you're in right now, because your creativity is so valuable in the environment that you're in. It really is. And then your positivity and your energy, your open flowiness.
Well, I have to say right away, because where I'm at right now is very, very much involved politically. Isn't that interesting, right? For me. But right away in 2 days in, no, one and a half, my second day there, an email needed to be written in response to a disgruntled participant of an event. And so she read me her response and I was like, it was just defensive and like aggressive, it was pointing the finger. They're each pointing the finger at each other. So each of them,
oh, you're so good. Keep going.
Each of them trying to prove the other person wrong, prove themselves right, and wanting to be validated and all this stuff. And when I read her response, I was like, and I'm explaining these things as we go. So we revamped the email, and then it was kind of a rush thing, but it was direct, but it was professional. And the next day she sent it off, and the next day I said, how did you feel about it? She goes, well, I kind of wanted to put this piece in there just so that and I said, I understand that. And what we also want to recognize is they're throwing a temper tantrum. And how do kids get attention? By throwing a temper tantrum. And if you're going to meet their energy, then you're dipping into their energy and meeting them, and that causes resistance. And you're just going to keep going back and forth with this type of energy. So let's try to shift that and not meet them where they're at, right? I'm trying to explain it to her in terms that she could hear me, and she was getting it. Like, she's like, oh, so I know I'm going to be in that way. Now, us having a conversation about energy and all that stuff, we get it, right? But when I'm out in the public and people are talking to me, I got to use a different language to get my point across. And that's a skill that I'm developing now. So that I can get better at, especially in the space that I'm in. So, which again is learning something new or getting better at or honing in on a skill. And so I know that there's a lot of value in me being there and just embracing what's going on and enjoying that process and that flow and just seeing where it goes. So yeah, I mean, doing coaching in the business and having the other people that are there that are going to be picking up on that stuff too. Right. So
Yeah.
it'll be quite interesting to see how this pans out.
Well, it's just like you said, imagine, or it's political as well. And it's like, because they needed your balance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't, because otherwise it could be out of control. And it's not, it's like you said, automatically when you start doing letters like that. And I understand, because as soon as you read it, you're already connected to their energy. You're already feeling it. So if you're feeling like this attack, naturally, if you're willy-nilly going about this, moving through life, you're going to automatically accept the challenge. Like, I'm going to attack back, right? We're going to see who's going to be able to win from this. But that's where the neutrality comes into place, because when we become neutral, now we can see that this person is needed to be seen and heard, really needed to be seen and heard. And now it's up to me. The way that I respond could lift this person up or could drive them down even more. And then on the other aspect of that, this person is another aspect of myself. So am I going to talk to myself like an asshole, or am I going to talk to myself like, and see myself that myself needs to be lifted up and needs to be, have an understanding and be heard, because this person needs to be heard for whatever their opinions are. And it's like, even for me, I ran something by you before we got on. And this is why I said, oh, you're so good, because you're describing that, but you were also describing the conversation that I had with you this morning. And you were processing that information and sharing it without dipping into my energy about it. Because you could have picked up the psychic stuff and you would have been like, oh, but did you do this? Or, you know what I mean? You could have picked up on some things like that. So it was just awesome how you processed it, but it just goes to show me, for me, it's a confirmation that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. How long you're going to be there, I don't know, but it's opened up more of a creativity. And then also coming back to where you talked about your getaways, the
Retreat.
But when we're talking about the retreat, I was thinking about that too. And it's like, this opened up another doorway for you to have possibilities, instead of thinking you have to do it all by yourself. So this is another prime example of showing how things can work out. And it doesn't have to be by ourselves. We don't have to figure out where we're going to put something, how we're going to set it up, how much it's going to cost, all these other things. No, we put it out there, and now you're getting that opportunity to do it. You get to play with the universe. Like, you're right. Like right now, if you want to look at it, like, you're going to your office and that's your vision board. When you go to that space, that's your vision board, because it's got, like, you've got this stuff all in your mind all over the place. And all these people that are coming in, because there's a lot of people that come through that space that are coming in, are going to be bringing forward such different information. And it's now you're in a space of where you're going around people where it doesn't feel like there's a take. And I'm not saying that it was a take before, but maybe it was a little bit out of balance, because I think you're giving and you're putting out of the stuff you were doing was out of balance of what you were receiving. Right. And I guess that's another, saying that out loud makes me think that maybe that's another cue for ourselves to be like, okay, this is out of balance. I'm saying that because this is for myself too, because I'm recognizing right now, even with the work that I've been doing and seeing the same amount of people, there's an out of balance. I know. And so I recognize that. So that's for me to see now. And now it's for me to ask myself or ask my guides, what does balance look like for me? How can I get into balance? What parts of my life are out of balance? What parts are taking over the focus, and what's being left behind? And I already kind of stated that last week I had my Sunday, and I utilized it I did things for myself. Now, this is not like I did it for somebody else. I was for myself. I did the kitchen or cleaned and stuff like that. And I enjoyed myself, but I did not give myself space to sit and meditate, to sit and draw, to do anything creative. I didn't do any of those things. So it's like, I love this journey you're on because it's so real and it's so applicable for everybody's lives right now. Everybody's. And it's like we don't have to get tied up in all the crap. And we've been put, we haven't only been on here for half an hour and we've already put out, there's so much information that we've put out that if people want to start doing the research, it'll be wonderful. It's my significant other comes home yesterday and he's like, well, this person's got cancer and everything else. And I'm automatically getting on the thing like, let's go. I'm going to go look up Barbara O'Neill. I'm going to go look up Dr. Berg. I'm looking at the medical media. What information is coming forward for me, right? And then I said to him, I said, well, do they have internet? Because all I would do is forward links. It's not, because that's all I'm going to do. I've done that a little bit of research for people. And mostly I've recognized that they don't do anything more with it because I can see a need. It's like having a conversation with their soul. And it's like their soul saying they could use all this information. And then you put it all out there and it's to be not holding on to an attachment, however they use that information, because you gave them a gift and it's whatever they want to do with it. And so that's a learning process too. It's a learning process. It really is. Just like when I knew when my mom was going to transition and I knew that she had cancer, I'm like, and then when we found out, you know, she went through all the treatments and survived all that and survived the surgery. Then it's like she's having problems and I'm like, if you just talk to this person, I know that she can help you. I know that she can save you, and that's great. And yes, I do know that she could have, just like you could have, I could have. It was just whoever she was ready to hear. And at that time, that's not what she was ready to hear. That's not where she wanted. She didn't want what I wanted. And it was okay for me to let go of that. So it's like, I'll still find the information and I'll still supply it, but I'll do it from a space of love, unexpected, right? And just love.
And that's a boundary too for yourself, is to say, I'm being resourceful. Here's the resources. If you're going to do something with it, great. And if you have any questions or want to talk about it, great.
Yeah.
But the boundary is, like you said, not having any expectation of what they do with the information. Because anytime somebody is in a position where we view it as uncomfortable or needs fixing, or they need help, or what, you know, how we're perceiving it, when they're staying in the struggle, they're still gaining something from it. It could be they're getting empathy from people, they're getting the attention they want, they're still believing in their suffering. Like, we don't know their story, we don't know their what their spirit needs them to walk through. We don't know, you know, their attachments. Like, we don't have that whole picture. We only have ours, and we're viewing it from our standpoint that we know better. Right. And that's something else. That was another boundary I had to set for myself as a coach. Like, I could see the possibilities, but that doesn't mean that's the journey that they're ready to take. And it's just like an addict of anything, that nothing's going to change till they decide to change. And so, as we've talked about before, recognizing that, being resourceful, here's the resources, and I'm going to take a step back until they make, it's like playing chess or checkers, until they make the next move toward me. Right? I can say, you know, send them a text, hey, thinking about you, sending you lots of love, take a step back. And I can do that a few times. And if there's no reciprocation, then that's where it is. I can't keep pushing it, because if I push, that's resistance. And then there's no room for flow. And so setting the boundaries really are for yourself. It's not for the other people. It's totally for yourself. Right. I've spent thousands of dollars on books and stuff and given them away for them to sit on people's bookshelves and never be touched. And know it. Like, I've been told, oh yeah, yeah, you got maybe, like, you know, 5-10 years. Oh yeah, maybe I should read that book. You know where you could have been by now had you read it when I gave it to you 10 years ago. But that wasn't their journey. That wasn't, and it's not for me to make the decision that their life sucks and it needs to be fixed. And I'm the one that has the tools. Like, it may not need to be fixed. There might be right where they need to be for their journey. I don't know that. It's not for me to decide. It's for them to decide when they want to make a change because they don't like the way their life is going.
True.
So that's where we come
That's
in, right?
awesome.
Sending that waves of love and grace, and saying loving prayers and holding a vision for them of seeing them just happy in life or enjoying life. And however they get there in that journey, that is up to them. I can just help hold that vision for them. That's
It's
easy
true.
to do.
It is. And it is easy. And guess what? It's not frustrating either.
Right.
When you can visualize, I'll tell someone, you know, if you're sending out some prayers to someone, like maybe their legs aren't feeling good or they're whatever, if you can see them like smiling and laughing and dancing around and like bringing up their knees real high and they're like dancing and stuff, that's sending them a better, that's a feel good energy. We don't
Right.
even have to define it with anything. We don't have to label it with anything.
Yeah.
Because when we label it with something, now we're putting it into a box. And it's just like even for us looking for careers, when you're doing a spiritual path and you're like looking at all the stuff, well, I'm a psychic medium, I'm a channel, you're labeling yourself and you're putting yourself into a box. And to me, it's like, we are all those things already, all of them.
Yeah.
But how are we going to utilize them in our everyday thriving experience while we're here, instead of it being like just existing? Some people aren't even existing, like, I mean, on a level where they're existing and enjoying this experience. And I understand people have gone through a lot of stuff. It's one thing I've learned even more recently, that there's so many. I had a friend that always would say, faces you see, hearts you don't know, because you don't, because just like how we started out this conversation, we can put a smile on our face and show up all the time, but it doesn't mean that we don't have all these emotions going on inside. And then when we can finally be like, hey, how's your day? Well, actually, it's pretty shitty right now. This is where I'm feeling at. And then it's an opportunity for the other person just to send love. It's not for someone to say, it's not for someone else to fix it. It's not for someone else to try to make them feel better. It's not for you to get into the space with them so you can make them, you can match their energy. So, because misery loves company, or, someone grieving might need someone grieving. That's not how it works. It can work that way for some people, but it's like slowing down the trickle of what really we could possibly feel. And it's Belinda Womack refers to it recently as undiluted love. That's pretty cool when you think about that. And so I'm trying to move, and I say trying because this is new to me. Instead of focusing on all the other things, I'm simplifying it, and I'm just focusing on my heart. When I start getting frustrated, and before we had this conversation or started our meeting today, I had talked to you about something that I was frustrated about, because I wanted to raise my vibration and I need to see things in a little bit different way before we started, which helped me completely. Sometimes I'm saying that because sometimes, even though I'm practicing this undiluted love, the space of love, because if I'm coming from a space of love, no matter what the other person's doing, no matter what the letter said, no matter what the reaction was, no matter if someone started the laundry and they left the house and the other person had to take care of it, or, perspective. But no matter of any of that stuff, if we're coming from a space of our heart, we will never see it that way. We'll never see that ever had to be defended. We'll never see that there ever had to be anger involved. And I'm saying this out loud because this is for myself, but it's for everybody else too. We would see that there are so many other reasons why we wouldn't move forward doing anything else or feeling anything else other than undiluted love, like nothing else. And that's a practice. Right now it's a practice, but right now it's getting easier and easier and easier. And I just started it. So I can get a little bit lost on things. And then I was saying that, I'm like, well, okay, let me see it by love. And I talked to you, had the conversation. And by the end of our little conversation, I could see it by love. So that's why we reach out to those that are around us that aren't. And it wasn't like you could have jumped on the bandwagon with me and found all the justifications.
Can't
Like,
believe
listen
that
here,
happened.
motherfucker. Yeah, but it didn't have to, it wasn't that way because it wasn't your space and you were neutral. And I came asking the question from you. So again, that goes to the whole thing. We're giving out information to someone that has cancer or something that's self-help, or spirit came through and told you something to tell them and you did it. That's all we can do without attachment, right? And then we're from the undiluted love, that space of the heart where we're just focused on them and understanding that even if no matter what, that positivity is going to come from you and it's going to be received. They may only allow themselves to feel it as maybe someone hands them a package of candy that day and it boosts their mood up, right? It's just whatever they can handle. They're not going to be able to take from you like all this amazing love flowing at them right that second when they've got everything so closed off and they're resisting it. They got their hands up and they're like, no, stop. Not even knowing what they're stopping. So this is just part of this whole journey and it's awesome and it's amazing, but it can be so simple. All of it.
Yeah. And a couple of things I wrote down while you were talking was, you know, it's a lot easier to be in your home and maintain your energy compared to being out in public, right? Being around people of different personalities and their struggles and their stories and their defensiveness. And so I think that's part of my level up process in maintaining my energy, because there is a lot of defensiveness in conversations with some people where they're at in the work environment. And the more I maintain my energy, the more their energy shifts.
Exactly.
And the less they're going to do that. So what do you, you know how amazing that's going to be for their point of attraction, that they're going to start realizing how much easier the flow is. And it's not for me to just pat myself on the back. It's just, I'm just maintaining my energy and I'm being more grounded, being around people like that. And that's going to have a positive effect on the environment. So
Absolutely.
It's so beneficial, right? And the other thing is, I could have, when I transitioned from doing my business full-time to going and getting a full-time job, I could have gone through being angry and pissed off and you know, got into that space of putting myself down, that I failed and nothing, I can't do anything, right? I could have gone into that story. I didn't. And I think I recognized that right away. I'm like, how am I going to see this as a failure? Like, I just see this as it's a pivot. It's a change. It's just something I have to do for now. And if I'm going to be here, I think I feel like I'm going to be here for at least another 40 years, at least. This is just for now. I'm not going to do this for the next 40 years. I don't know if I'm going to do it for 2 years. I don't know how long it's going to be. And it's okay, because I don't know this. It's just opening doors.
Yeah.
But if I would have taken that lower vibrational energy, first of all, I probably wouldn't even got the job. Right? I had my ugly cry on Tuesday. And no, it was the Tuesday before, right? It was the Tuesday before.
It was last week, I think. Well, okay, because we talked about it last week. So
right after, because I had reached out to this person once and said, hey, you know, I'm in the market for a full-time job, blah, blah, blah. She asked me what I did. And she goes, okay, I'll keep my ears open. I had my ugly cry. I had my mindset shift. I had all these things going for me. She texts me and says, do you want to meet with me? How do you feel about working here? I was like, because I'm dropping that heavy energy and I'm not having the attachments of I'm not good enough. I'm a failure. I suck. I can't get it right. Like, I didn't have any attachments to that. I was like, for now, this is what we're doing for now. It's a pivot. What can come out of this? Who are the people I'm going to meet? What information, knowledge am I going to gain from this? What other skills am I going to gain? What do I get to practice? Right? What do I get to get better at? So first of all, I probably wouldn't have got the job. I probably would have got a job I really didn't care for, to be honest. If I would have stayed in that, if I would have gone into that type of energy. And the other thing, even if whatever job I got in that type of energy, I would have brought an attitude with it that would have been uncomfortable. And then there's still resistance. They're still just being disgruntled. And so it's not going to be a benefit for me, first and foremost. And then imagine the work work environment I would have created in my manifestation process. It just sounds like, man, I'm doing so good, and I'm so excited about where I'm at and how I'm doing, and what I'm learning about myself, because that's really what it is. Every time we make a choice or decision, we get to learn about ourselves. And that is my goal every day. What am I learning about myself? What am I learning about myself? How can I show up and do and be better? And however this works out, I know, because I've been practicing and talking about this, especially with you for like the last 3 years, is just being open to possibilities, be in gratitude, allow the ease and flow, know it's temporary. Sometimes we have to pivot in order for the doors to open, for the universe to get the information to us, or guide us in a river. When it comes up against a rock or huge boulder, it doesn't just keep pushing it flows around it. Well, that's us, right? We come up against this boulder, but we think we gotta push through it and stick with it and keep going. When the universe is like, okay, let's just divert our energy this way, so there's more of a flow, so we can get you to where you want to be, what you've been thinking about, what you've been dreaming about your goals, but we just got to go this other direction for now so we can get you there. Is that awesome, team, or what?
That is
What
awesome.
an incredible team to have, to say, just go this way just for a little bit, and then we're going to get you back on your path of what you're wanting to bring to you.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And non-resistant, right? Totally non-resistant. So you open yourself up for flow from everywhere. Like that opens up for you to receive the lottery or receive whatever. It opens you up for everything. It's not controlling anything. It's just being like, okay, I'm trusting the universe. I'm trusting the universe is putting me right here, because the universe is putting you right there, or it wouldn't have happened so fast. There's that flow. And then you were open because you shifted that fast. In the past, the shift wouldn't have happened that fast. It might have taken a little while longer before you found that job, but you shifted so fast. Holy shift. But it was really super fast, right? It really was. And it's such your energy is lighter, you're more possibility instead of limitations, right? Because that's what it feels like. It's awesome. And then we're talking about this stuff, and then I don't know where it came from, but then I'm thinking about addicts. Like I said, I don't know where it came from, but it's like a lot of times they don't have the control to say no. And I don't know how it fits into this conversation. So they don't have any healthy boundaries at all. They have no way of saying no. And it's like they're always wanting to do things to please everybody else. There's such an energy about, well, they got to quit doing this and they got to quit doing that. No, they got to be here and have their experience, whatever their experience is. And once they decide that I'm done with this addiction, because I do have control over my life, because they have no control over anything in their life. But this is the one thing they can freaking either say they don't have control over it, or they just give up their control willingly to it, because they don't want to feel how much they don't have control over their lives, or how there's no value to them, there's no worth to them, there's no, I could go on with a whole list of things, but it's like, it's even an addict, and I say even an addict, and it's like it's not lower, it's another person having an experience. When you're going through addiction, it's like looking at it and being like, I'm not doing this for somebody else, whether I'm gonna do the drugs or quit the drugs, I'm doing it for me. And I think that's the whole thing. And that's the whole thing for you too. You're doing this for you. You're not doing it because you got to raise the kids. You're not doing it because you've got to do all these other things, because there's just other ways for it to work out. You're doing this now from a space of, man, I know the universe has my back. I know that I'm on the flow. This feels good. Look at how fast this happened. Look at the shift that happened so fast. Look at, I can have an ugly girl cry, and then look at what came out of that. Look what came out of me not holding on to all these emotions inside my system. There's like all these things, all these things, but it was an experience. All of it was an experience to take you to the next stage. On another level, you may have been the ugly girl crying like, screw this, and then went and worked at McDonald's, or went and worked at freaking Cracker Barrel. And I'm not saying that those are bad jobs either, but I'm just saying it wouldn't have resonated with your soul, and you would have gotten bored with it really super quick. So then the universe opens up this doorway for you that can utilize all these things that you've been guided to, because you've been guided all along.
Yeah.
And in at the meantime, while you've been being guided, you've been letting go, you've been doing the work, and you've been processing. You haven't ignored the shit. You haven't stuffed it. You let it come to the surface, and then you ask questions. And even when you're going through it, it feels kind of heavy, but that heavy that you went through for the last 6 months or the last whatever, it's not the same heavy as it would have been years and years and years ago, because there's a different perspective. There's a light at the end of a tunnel, because you know that you're supported. And there's a reason. It's not by accident.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of reprieve in my energy, because now I look at that to-do list, like that huge long to-do list that I had. And there's things that I'm like, oh, I don't have to do that no more. I don't have to do that no more. Right. And it's just a release, because now where I'm at for now, I'm going to move in this direction. My energy is going to shift and change. I'm going to have opportunity to regroup. And this, as we talked about, because I thought about this too, it is my numerology 1 year, meaning working on foundation. And so we got to clear clutter. We got to remove the blocks, the things that are weighing me down, so that I can create a more solid foundation and start building on that. And so it's an opportunity to take a step back, right? What do they say when you're working with manifestation and you're having a lot of resistance? Shift your energy, shift your focus. So my focus is being shifted in a huge way, so I get a breath of fresh air. So my bills are getting paid, and that feels good to me. And I still have my business. I'm still working on it. I still have classes going now, but now, like I said, I'm meeting people who I can lean on and ask for help to create a retreat. And so my business isn't going away. It's just shifting, because I have to shift. I got to shift my energy for this foundation to be laid. And I think that's amazing how, we can get very disgruntled, because, we can get very disgruntled when things change. And if you don't like change, I hate to tell you this, that is inevitable. It's happening every second of every day, especially in your body. And it's better to embrace it. And it's, again, temporary, and it's for now. But when you're wanting something and desiring something so bad, but you cannot get out, you can't get your mind out of the box, you can't remove the blinders, the universe will come in and say, this is what we're doing right now. This is what we're going to do. You can kick and scream if you want to. It's not going to help your manifestation. It's not going to help your point of attraction if you want good things. But this is what we're doing right now. It's like parents saying, no, you're going to do this. Well, that's what the universe has said. No, you're going to do this. Now I can go into an open and receiving and in gratitude. I mean, really, like the relief of a bill getting paid. Such a relief, so much gratitude in that. That absolutely is the biggest point of my attraction, is the way I'm feeling. So when I'm feeling like I'm taking a breath of fresh air, I can relax knowing that I'm going to have an income to pay my bills. That sends that signal to the universe, says, oh, she wants more of this. Great. Let's have a conversation with this person about being an event planner. Oh, let's have a conversation with this person who loves cooking. Right. It's like, oh, let's bring her into this space where she can use her skills that she's already has. Oh, she loves having a flexible schedule. So let's put her in this environment. Like, there's so much to be grateful for, even though this change has happened, and I totally embrace it, and I'm actually excited about it, because the opposite is not going to serve my it's going to probably smack me around a little bit. I'm going to get some bumps and bruises. It's not going to be fun. So I would much rather be in the space of gratitude of this changes.
I love it. And it's super temporary.
It really is.
It really is, because it's just something, it's like you're flitting in because there is such a ripple. We talked about, you were saying all about all the things, how it can benefit you, but it's such a benefit to everybody else, which we talked about as well. But I just want to kind of emphasize that, because when we're putting that focus on that, you're showing up, you've already are giving someone a different perspective to look at something, how they're sending something out. You're giving different perspectives with people coming in, you're receiving a just different perspective. So it's that ebb and flow, right? We're back to the infinity sign. There's a constant flow from you to the next. It's a constant ebb and flow always. Always when we're in a space of receiving and giving. It's not just being in the space of giving or just being in the space of receiving. It's the flow. There's the balance. And that's what you're showing the example of that to everybody that's in your experience and everybody that walks in, and they'll notice a difference in the energies. And then when it comes to politics, there are so much emotions about it from one side to the other, but that's been created. That's like a synthetic form of emotions that it's like, again, we're back to the 3D things. Do we want to put our attentions on that? Or it's like, do we want to see it as presenting a possibility? So this is a possibility of what it could be, but what could it be? Because this possibility doesn't feel so good to me. So it's like, what can I create from this? And it's going over to here. And then it's talking about it with you, and it's talking about it with my partner, and talking about it with my kids or people, my clients that come in. And then it kind of gets bigger and bigger, and it changes. And that all ripples out to everybody. And we've all had something, we've all had a hand in it. We've all been a participant in this sport here while we're here. But it's for the greater good of all these things that we're doing, all of them, and all these things that you're doing right now, which I just find it awesome, because I've been watching you for a long time, and I've been hearing you for a long time, and I do pay attention, and I see things too. It's amazing that you have moved forward the way that you have moved forward, is giving permission to so many other people, and then not staying in that struggle, because you could have been like, well, fuck this. I'm not going to go back to work. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to make this work, or I'm going to go do something else part-time or whatever. You know what I mean? You could have gone that route and then kept yourself in that space until you decided to move forward from that space, but you didn't take that route. It wasn't a necessary route, because you don't have to keep yourself in the struggle. You're not addicted to the struggle. And sometimes I feel like people are addicted to the struggle.
Oh, yeah.
Addicted to the anger, because the anger was my motivation in a lot of ways. And I noticed that it still is, but also recognizing how much energy am I picking up from the collective, if there's some, because there is a lot of defensiveness in the world. And I have dealt with that for myself. That's my experience, not because it's been coming at me, it's coming from me as well. A defensiveness. And that's because that my inner child will pop up and be like, well, la, 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 that's about me. And it's not. And that's where the neutrality comes in again, and realizing it's not about you. And then realizing sometimes someone's saying something to you because their soul is speaking for them. Mostly their soul is speaking through them to give them the advice. And it's maybe a confirmation for you, or it may be a trigger for you, or maybe it's whatever it needs to be in that moment. But there's a benefit, because it's the ebb and flow. Even on the stuff that we don't think that doesn't feel good to us, there's still an ebb and flow. There's still an opportunity for growth, an opportunity for change, an opportunity to let go of something that we're holding on so tightly to, so we can move forward and then receive all the abundance that's flowing into your life now, because you're abundant. I can feel it from you. It's palpable.
That's good. That's great
You gave yourself
validation.
relief. Yeah, but you gave yourself relief. That was the thing, because you didn't decide to hold on to the struggle. You didn't decide to hold on to the victim. And that's something else I recognize when I start thinking about something. Grandkids are a great topic. If there's something that I feel like is going against them, that's immediately when I recognize. I talk about not being a victim or being a victim, but in those spaces, I'm now being a victim for my grandchild. So I've still stepped into the victim role. What was the answer the universe gave me? I've got to be in undiluted love. That's where I've got to be at, because if I'm looking at it from that space, from the victim, it's shitty. It doesn't feel good. It makes me want to cry. It makes me sad. It makes me feel like a lot of other people feel, like you have no control over a situation, that you're stuck, that you're lost. There's nothing you can do. You could just get to sit on the sidelines and watch this happen. That's the victim standpoint. That was my victim standpoint, that it's like it's found another way to trickle in to show me another way. And then it's like, no, I've got to move forward from this from a space of love, because again, if I'm putting out energy to anybody, if it's not from love, I'm only adding more grief to their already experiences of grief. I'm already adding more anger to their anger. We don't need to add that. We don't need to put that more stuff into someone else's pot. They're already in a struggle as it is. So giving them a helping hand, right? And the helping hand might be a prayer. The helping hand might be visualizing, seeing them happy and seeing life going, flowing, just perfect for them, amazing for them. And then when we do all that stuff, we open ourselves up to those possibilities too. So now we're allowing that flow to come into ourselves without doing anything. A lot of this stuff is so effortless, but we've been groomed and we've been told, and we've been for generations upon generations, you got to work hard to do this. And I'm not saying that you don't have to work hard, but when you're banging your head up against the wall all the time, and you're going at a place where, if you're going to a job all the time and you feel like you have to be there and you have to do this and you're crying to get up and go to your job, really got to check in with yourself and see what you really want, and really ask yourself, why do you want to be in this place of struggle? Because everything that's being presented to us is for our growth.
And I have to say, since I have shifted into this change, I've actually slept for the past 3 nights. I wasn't sleeping good.
That is awesome.
I mean, I was like, holy crap, I think I slept. Right? So yeah, I've been resting better. So that's another piece of that weighted blanket, just being lifted and allowing my body to relax even more.
Yeah. And then not even noticing that you had it in the first place until you let it go. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you didn't notice it at all, but notice to what depth it was until we've let go of it. Because you notice it, you have an awareness. I mean, that's where you're at right now. That's why you're there.
And that was one of my asks to the universe. I'm like, man, I just want a good night's sleep. I want several good night's sleeps, right? I've been asking that for a while because it's been a toss and turn, and the blanket shuffle because of hot flashes, get up and go pee, like all these different things that I just not been rested. In the past few days, like, what's happening? This is really cool. So
and you're receiving more of a challenge, not a challenge. That's not, maybe it's just more, it's like new stuff. And I don't want to call it a challenge because that feels kind of daunting to me a bit, but it seems like you're receiving more of a benefit of the things that you're doing all day long right now. I don't know. I don't know. I can feel it, but I don't know what words to put with it.
Stay tuned as the saga unfolds. But even in that office environment I'm in now, I can overhear conversations, and as far as like going back to maintaining my energy, hearing those conversations and how I perceive them, I can dip into the energy of it, or is send love to it, right? So in maintaining my energy, I send love, because I know that can shift the environment. I know it can shift the conversations. I know good things are going to happen, but we can do that. We can do that in any work environment that we're in. And so if you're in an environment that is fairly energetically heavy, you gotta shift your own energy and be grounded and connecting to that gratitude and that love, self-love, love of spirit, love of the universe, and start putting that out just as your thoughts, like we've been talking about, sending waves of grace, waves of love, saying prayers. I include that this is all working out for the highest and greatest good of all, because that's what we really want. And by me being in this space, this new environment, the highest and greatest good of all, I don't know what that looks like, but I do know the possibilities of it being amazing. And I want to hold that vision, and then anything coming out of it. And so remember that when you're in your own work environment or self-employed environment, gratitude is a must. Gratitude is a must for all areas of your life. There's always something to be grateful for. And then that love, the waves of love, prayers of love. And remember to include yourself in that. Like, have some ease and grace with yourself as you're moving through things. Like I said, when you go through a huge change, there is a grieving process. Allow yourself to move through that, move that energy, and step into the gratitude. I'm so relieved, right? My bills are going to get paid. I'm so relieved now that I recognize I'm getting a better night's sleep. I'm so relieved now that this weight has been lifted on. Like, I have so much to be grateful for, but not only that, but I still have a bed to sleep in. I still have a house to live in. I still have food in my refrigerator and dishes and gas, water, electric. Like, I still have all these things that have been there, and I can still focus on those and the other things that I'm getting as a benefit of this change. So be in gratitude, focus on the gratitude for anything and everything that you already have. So important.
You say that, and that was the first thing that because I cleaned up my mirror. I always write messages on my mirrors, and I cleaned up my mirror this morning, and the top of my list is gratitude.
Nice.
Because it's just it's part of it's everything.
Yeah.
It's that appreciation.
Yep.
And
Even the chaos, drama, and trauma, we even moving through that stuff. There's something to be grateful for, and it's not necessarily the situation. You can focus on the sun is shining, the flowers are blooming, you have fruits and vegetables in your garden, you have a closet to put your clothes in, you have a bed to put your sheets on. Like, you can find gratitude even when life isn't looking so good.
It's true.
Right. So any final words, my dear? This is good. This is good.
It really was. It's like 2 hours in one. I would say love, love, love. That's where I'm at right now. It's all about love, and it's asking yourself what love is to you. How does love feel to you? It's not love that would ever have a definition, really, from what the definition that you've learned through a lifetime of while you've been in this experience. It's about the undiluted love, the love that's so unconditional, that doesn't see anything in any way, just like our guides, our angels, and anything that's around us. They don't ever sit at us. I know we joke around about them hitting their heads and stuff like, oh God, here we go. But they don't ever do that. Because they don't have an attachment to an outcome. Right. They just love us. They're there to help us, guide us. And that's what our heart is for. That's what our love is for. It helps to guide us. We have this connection, love and honor it, and let that be your focus. And then when you're feeling shitty, just keep saying the word love a million freaking times and see what happens. And then start breathing, because you've taken your mind off the crap, and you're focusing on the word love, and it might open up doorways of, well, what is it? I want to experience this. What does unconditional love feel like? What does undiluted love feel like? It's all about love right now. So go love yourself. Go love everybody.
Just love.
Just love. Jesus.
All right, my friends, thanks for hanging out with us. Tea time with Amy and Bev, and we will see you when we see you.
It's true.
Take care.
Bye.